Hi everyone, my name is Nick Anderley and my presentation is on Menasha Packaging and the Future of Retail. A little bit of background about myself. I've been with Menasha for about 8 years now. 6 of those years have been with the pricing department and the last 2 years have been with procurement. Menasha is fairly unique. They are a privately owned business and rather old, at over 175 years old, so about the age of the state of Wisconsin. They're also privately owned. There's 168 living descendants that act as shareholders. We're fairly large too for being a privately owned business at about 6,000 employees. Menasha is made up of Menasha Packaging and Orbis. They make up the corporation. So Menasha Packaging and Orbis. Menasha Packaging generally produces rigid packaging, generally known as cardboard. Orbis produces plastic reusable packaging, like dunnage. So Menasha supplies packaging to some of the largest CPGs in the world. This includes Frito-Lay, Kraft, Kellogg's, Unilever. Orbis more specializes in, you see those plastic pallets at like say Quick Trip or a gas station, Quick Trip or like a grocery store for bread and beverages, and then the totes too. So that's kind of what they do. So a little bit about our products and services. As I get Orbis out of the way right away, they produce the plastic large totes. Like I said, a bunch of different variations of those. A lot of specialization for like the automobile industry to transport parts. As far as Menasha Packaging goes, you'll see that brown box. That is not Menasha's specialty. It's very commoditized. They focus more on the displays and filling retail displays with product and cartons too. It's like a higher end carton like that bloom with a pretty foiling. And they also do different types of marketing and sample packs, as you can see in the bottom left. So as you can tell, probably the paper market is really important to Menasha Packaging. We use a lot of it. Menasha sold their only paper mill about 15 years ago. The paper game is kind of complicated because for packaging you utilize a bunch of different grades and types of paper. So basically you have to have a couple plants to really make a dent in your supply chain. And then too, there's paper machines are super expensive, and there's the whole environmental situation with those. So Menasha Packaging is considered an independent producer of packaging. Then that means they don't produce paper. The paper industry has seen a lot of congregation in the last 5 years. Basically, the FTC probably will not let any more mergers happen. So basically, a lot of paper manufacturers also produce packaging like Menasha. So Menasha's not super large. I would say they're mid-sized when it comes to packaging. So it makes getting paper kind of complicated because a lot of these suppliers in North America will not give Menasha the best price, or when supply chain issues happen, would kind of be bottom of the totem pole. And there's some supply chain vulnerability. So we get a lot of paper from producers in Europe and Canada, just because we don't really compete heavily in those markets. And that produces two problems, like Metsä in Finland. They supply a lot of our plants. Well, they had an explosion like 3 months ago, and that caused a huge disruption. And it's just hard to get paper from these competitors that we compete with on the packaging side of things. So the retail environment. So basically the number of reasons to go to a retail store like your average Walmart has decreased. Just Amazon and other ordering and omni-channels have really taken over in the last, say, 5 years. Since COVID, you see a lot more order pickups happening. People just go into stores and they walk out with their order, or else the orders even get brought into their car. Several Walmarts and Sam's Clubs have already converted into small distribution centers. So basically, this has some efficiencies, over retail space. You need a lot more employees for retail space, and there's an employee shortage that's probably not going to get any better. With distribution centers, you can do a lot more automation and projects like that. So you probably will see like, delivery costs can be pretty expensive, you know how Amazon has it set up, but you probably see future efficiencies in delivery like self-driving cars and drones, so that'll lower costs. So in-store advertising. So foot traffic mainly drives these traditional retail displays in stores. But the problem is if you have less foot traffic in retail area, there's going to be less displays. These displays can also be used for promotion, like your new movies, new products, stuff like that. Is kind of why CPGs produce or require us to produce these. It just takes a lot to grab people's attentions. They're encompassed by being on their cell phone, looking at social media, looking at work email. People enjoy this interaction, social media aspects. That image there is of a retail display at Fleet Farm that's just used for basically picking up orders. I foresee this could be used in a lot of other ways to market, promote products, maybe being a store guide, stuff like being a guide where you could find a product. So Menashe's strategy. So I think that Menashe should transition in more to a marketing and media company. We already have comprehensive graphic design and marketing groups for our retail displays. You just have to basically transition this into more of the digital environment. Menashe, this would create a lot of not a lot, but substantial diversification playing in this marketing arena, because who knows what's going to happen to the retail environment over the next 10 to 20 years. Orbis, our partner, they also make plastic. They could easily make a plastic stand for a digital display instead of the over traditional ones. I also see these displays being modular in shape and design, kind of like Legos, so you can put them together for different space requirements or different product sizes. And this, technology could carry into many other areas from Menashe, such as billboards, media online, applications, stuff like that. So I think there's an opportunity there. So here's some examples of a couple of digital displays that's provided by a company. So the one I'm playing right now is kind of a shelf. It's pretty neat. So this is that previous retail display all lit up. So these displays are quite expensive. I think they're about $10,000 for the big one. Obviously, this is kind of like the stuff you see at an arena. I mean, if you just did simple computer screens or TV screens, probably it's quite a bit cheaper. I've done a cost comparison, but these are kind of the only bespoke things I've seen out there that kind of model a Menashe type of retail display. So digital display advantages, there is some displays. For each corrugate component, it requires generally tooling, like a die board or printing plate, and this adds cost. It also takes time to make tooling, so that requires time to go to markets. But with digital displays, you can quickly change graphics. You can tailor graphics to a certain market. Like for instance, in the Milwaukee region, you could have a display with Brewers. You can have the same display in Green Bay with the Packers, or vice versa for different states. And too, like I talked about, there's a lot of, it's hard to grab people's attention these days with how obsessed they are with social media and their phones. But with these displays, like I showed, you can have movement and animation, much more eye-grabbing in my opinion. And I also see these displays having an opportunity for some interaction. This could be like scanning a QR code on the screen and acting like a scavenger hunt for points or coupons. There could be games on these displays for small children. There could also be like a store item locator, kind of like that Fleet Farm example, but instead of just being online order, you could also have, where could I find a wrench, stuff like that. So anyways, I think that it would be a good opportunity for Menashe to kind of branch out and leverage what they already have with Orbis and our digital design and marketing aspects. Thank you.